Dulce de Leche makes the perfect caramel pie. Inspired by Argentine dessert empanadas, this easy pie recipe is the perfect fusion between Argentine and Southern cuisine. If you want the recipe, keep watching. This dulce de leche pie is super easy. Here I have two 9-inch pie crusts. I'm using mine. I'll leave a link down below to the recipe. It was one of the first videos that I did on my channel. It's really easy. It's an oil and butter pie crust, so you don't have to worry about cutting in cold butter shortening. Everyone always compliments me on my pie crust, so you should definitely check it out. I put one of the pie crusts into a lightly buttered 9-inch pie plate, and the other crust is here. And I have two 13.4 ounce cans of Dulce de Leche, milk caramel from Argentina and other Latin American countries. All I'm literally going to do is just literally scoop it out of the can into the pie shell. Could not be any easier. So, two things inspired me to make this recipe. One is that I did a Google image search for dulce de leche pie, and there were no recipes for a double crusted pie, like an apple pie or peach pie, but filled with dulce de leche. Maybe I missed it, but from what I saw, I did not see anything, so I thought it was weird. And number two, in Argentina, people make empanadas, or little turnovers. Usually they're savory meat or cheese, but some of them do have sweet fillings like dulce de leche. However, making a ton of pastries is a lot of trouble, a lot of mess, or in Argentina, as they would say, a lot of quilombo. So I thought, hey, why not make a pie so that I don't have to make a ton of little turnovers. I'll do empanadas on the channel at some point. I mean, if I'm an Argentine chef, I have to make empanadas at some point. But this is a lot easier. And also, I think this dulce de leche pie is kind of a fusion recipe between Argentine food and Southern food, because I've never seen in Argentina, in any Argentine cookbooks or anything, a large tart that had a pie crust. A crust like this. Usually it's the masa frola for their desserts. Not this type of crust, so I've never seen anything like this. So this may be a first. I'm sure it will be delicious. So once this is in, I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of salt, just because I like the salted caramel flavor. And then I'm going to put on the top crust, and then it will go in the oven at 350 for, I'm guessing, 45 minutes to an hour. And now that the dulce de leche is in the pie shell, I'm just going to take my spoon like this and smooth it out so that it's evenly distributed. So it just took a few minutes. I used the back of the spoon and I smooth out the dulce de leche in the pie shell. Nice and easy. And now for the top crust. This is rolled out between two pieces of wax paper. So all I'm going to do is peel off the top piece. I'm going to play musical pies, I guess you could say. Take it like this with both hands and just literally set it as directly on top as possible. And dulce de leche, if you've never worked with it, is very sticky, so it's going to be kind of hard to maneuver it if you do not get it as in the center as possible. You want to have a little bit of overhang over the sides of the pie plate, so if you need to, instead of pulling on the top crust, pull on the wax paper and use your fingers to push the pie plate. So your fingers are pulling the wax this way, but your other fingers are pushing the pie plate the other direction. That's probably the easiest way. Peel it off. There you go. And now to form the crust, the bottom had a little bit of overhang, so all I'm going to do, and I'm going to have leftover, I'm going to trim off with my small knife. I'm just going to pinch the two together like this. And the excess I will cut off in a minute. And now's a good time if there's any part of the pie that maybe you didn't get it directly in the middle or you need to patch something up, now is the time. So now I'm just going to take my knife, go around the edge of the pie like that. Nice and easy. This is probably one of the easiest pies. This and the Nutella pie. Not sure which recipe will be up first that you could possibly make. All you literally have to do is dump it into the pie shell. And if you're really intimidated, you probably don't even have to do a double crust. You could buy a bottom crust that's already in the tin, in the pie plate, and then you could buy a crust on the side and just do a lattice top like it's a pasta frolla if you're intimidated about putting it on top. Honestly, I think it will be fine. And now it's time to make the slits. Honestly, this probably isn't necessary for this type of pie, but I'm going to do it just in case. However, if you're making a fruit pie like an apple pie or a cherry pie, you definitely want to put some slits in the top crust, because if you don't, while the fruit filling is cooking in the oven, it's going to generate steam, and the steam is going to cause the top crust to lift while it's still cooking. And what's going to happen is that the top crust is going to cook, but it's not going to cave back down, and the filling is not going to rise. So you're going to have some empty, some hollow space between the filling and the top crust. Not the end of the world, but not as presentable as you would probably like. So this is what I do. I use a ruler. Do not feel obligated to do this, but I'm kind of a perfectionist. So I like to find the center, 9 inches. Center is 4.5. Right about there. Let's make sure. Measure both ways. Yep. 4.5. So that's the center, and then I do one slit this way, 2.5 away, another that way. Let's do 2.5 away about. Now as close to in between those as I can. So this is kind of a bit of guesswork, but about 1.5 inches, 2 inches away from the center, cut 1/2 inch. If you do not care if the slits are not aligned geometrically like this, then do not go through all this quilombo. Just cut some slits. But what I like to do with my fruit pies is that I use the slits to guide me when I cut the slices. So that is what I do. This is going to go into a 350-degree oven for, I'm guessing, probably 45 to 60 minutes, but I will definitely let you know. So the pie is done. It took an hour at 350. Browned very nicely without getting too dark on the edge. And all except for a little bit of leakage on the side up here, up in the corner. This Dulce de Leche pie is absolutely picture perfect. One of my best. In fact, it looked so perfect that I felt bad about wanting to eat it. However, once I cut it and tasted it, I realized that it was even better than it looked. This dulce de leche caramel pie was absolutely fantastic. The combination of textures with the smooth and creamy dulce de leche caramel and the crispy, flaky pie crust was phenomenal. Very different from the other recipes using dulce de leche because the other recipes use the masa frolla short crust pastry. Although you could definitely use your own pie crust recipe or even a store-bought crust, my recipe for pie crust is half oil, half butter, so the little bit of butter gave this crust just enough flavor to pair perfectly with the dulce de leche. Like I already said, this recipe was inspired by Argentine dessert empanadas, and this is definitely a lot easier and a lot less quilombo than making a ton of individual turnovers. Besides, with empanadas or any other type of turnover, the edges of the pastry are going to be almost all crust and very little filling. However, with this caramel pie, you get a very good filling to crust ratio throughout the vast majority of the dessert. So honestly, transportability and tradition aside, I think a tart or pie is a much better option than empanadas or individual turnovers. However, don't worry, since I am an Argentine chef, I will be doing empanadas at some point in the future. This Argentine and Southern fusion dessert recipe was definitely a slam dunk, so I'll be making more fusion recipes in the near future. As a chef, it's really cool to have two cultures, two gastronomies, two languages influencing the way that I cook. And even though for the most part I like to keep them separate, when I can find a way to bring them together, it's really cool. So if you're looking for an easy caramel pie recipe, try dulce de leche caramel pie. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Also, for more information about Argentine and Southern recipes, please visit my website, parnellthechef.com. And don't forget to follow me on social media. I'm most active on Twitter and Instagram. If you make one of my recipes, please take a picture and let me know. I'd love to see it. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.